this is Jo from Maths Tutor Me. Today we're doing fractions and we're learning about equivalent fractions. All the questions that we're going to be doing today, we're going to be doing without a calculator, because most of the time when you're learning these at school, they don't want you to use a calculator. They want you to be able to do these questions in your head. So to do that, it is a good idea if you are confident with your times tables. That will help you out a lot today. All right, so equivalent fractions. In the box here we have equivalent fractions can be made by multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same number. So remember from last lesson that the numerator is the top number of a fraction, denominator is the bottom number. So if we multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, we will find an equivalent fraction. So that's what we're going to do here in the first example. I have a fraction here, 1/3. Now, I want to find an equivalent fraction that has a 12 on the bottom, and I have to find this missing number. So what I do is I want to find out, what do I multiply 3 by to get to 12? 3 times 4 would give me 12. So what I want to do is multiply this one, the top number, the numerator, by 4 as well. 1 times 4 is 4, and it tells me my missing number. So 1/3 is equivalent to 4/12. They are equivalent fractions. Okay, we can do that again for B. This time we're going to be finding the denominator. So we use the top numbers, the numerators, to find out what to multiply by. To get from 4 to 8, I would multiply by 2. So let's multiply the 5 by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. So 10 is my missing number. 4/5 is equivalent to 8/10. Now we can do this with lots of fractions here. So I want to find lots of equivalent fractions to the 3/4 that I have here at the front. So these two are next to each other. So I would times that by 3. I'm not going to write it this time because otherwise I'm going to have lots of little lines going across my diagram. 3 times by 4 gives me 12. So let's times this by 3. 3 times 3 gives me 9. Okay, so that's my first one filled in. In this next fraction, I have the 15. So let's have a look at the numerators. Let's always working with this first fraction. 3 times 5 would give me 15. So let's times this by 5. 4 times 5 is 20. And in this last equivalent fraction, I have a denominator. So let's look at the denominators. 4 times something gives 44. That would be 4 times 11. So let's times 3 by 11 to get 33 for my numerator. Okay. So being able to find equivalent fractions leads into question 2 here, where we can write fractions in simplest form. Simplest means that the fraction is as small as possible. There is no more common factors in the numerator and denominator. So as you can see in this first question, I have 10 on the top and 30 on the bottom. Hopefully you can see that both of those numbers have a factor of 10 in them. So we could divide them both by 10. It has to be the same number for the numerator and the denominator for it to work. Okay, you can't have different numbers. So both of them can divide by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. And 30 divided by 10 is 3. Okay, now that is not going to get any smaller. 1 is as small as it's going to get. So that is the most simplified fraction from 10/30 over here. Let's do it again for B. 16/40. Okay, now sometimes there's different options of things. You might be able to think of a few different numbers that you could divide those by. But let's just say that you think of the number 4. Okay, I can divide that by 4 and I can divide that by 4. If I divide by 4, I'm going to get 4 on the top because 16 divided by 4 is 4. And 40 divided by 4 is 10. Okay, so I've made them smaller, but I actually can make them smaller still. I haven't made that completely simplified yet. So what I could do is both of those numbers are both even numbers, which means I can divide by 2. So let's divide by 2, and I will get 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, they are both prime numbers. They're not going to simplify any further. So what you might find is sometimes it might take you a few steps to get to the most simplified answer. If I had have looked at this and gone, oh, actually I can divide by 8, then maybe I would have gone straight to this answer and I would have skipped this step. But it all depends on the number that you see at the time. All right, for C, we have 35 over 49. Well, 49 is a tricky number. There's not too many things that you can divide 49 by. Hopefully the number that comes to your mind is 7, because 7 times 7 is 49, and 35 divides by 7 as well. So let's divide these by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5, and 49 divided by 7 is 7. They're both prime numbers. They're not going to simplify any further. All right, for number 3, we want to consider the shaded rectangle. What fraction is shaded? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rectangles there that are shaded out of a total of, well, we had 9, so 10, 11, 12 in total. Okay, we did that last lesson, so that's not new. But in B, it says write the shaded fraction in simplest form. So we look at this and we go, what can we divide those by? How can we simplify that? Well, both of those numbers divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 9/12 is shaded, but that simplifies to be 3/4 of that shape is shaded. Question 4, an hour is 60 minutes. What fraction of an hour is 40 minutes in the simplest form? Okay, so that means we have 40 minutes out of a total of 1 hour, which is 60 minutes, because we want 40 minutes as a fraction of 60 minutes. Okay, so that's how you would write it, but we want to simplify that. Now with the zeros on the end, that means we can divide by 10. Dividing by 10 means I would get 4 on the top, and to divide this by 10, I would get a 6. But both being even numbers here, I can divide that some more. I can divide by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. And that would be the simplest answer, the simplest form of 40 over 60. Okay, time for you to have a practice. Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video and try these 4 questions and then restart the video to see the answers. For question 1, we want to complete the following. We want to complete these equivalent fractions. So we have both numbers on the denominator, so let's use that to work out what to multiply by. 7 times by 3 would give me 21. So let's times this by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So that's my equivalent fraction. For B, 4/9 is my starting fraction, and I want to find these 3 other fractions. Let's compare the numerators here. 4 times 2 would give me the 8. So that means I need to times this by 2. 9 times 2 is 18. Okay, for the second fraction that we're finding here, the denominators we have, so let's look at that. 9 times something gives 45. 9 5s are 45. Okay, so we need to multiply by 5. Multiplying the top by 5, 4 5s are 20. In our last fraction, we have the numerators. 4 somethings are 36. 4 9s are 36, so we multiply by 9. So 9 times 9 is 81. Question 2, write each fraction in simplest form. So we want to divide these, the same thing, top and bottom. Okay, 12 over 20, I could divide by 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So 3/5 is my simplest fraction. For B, 70 over 98. Okay, that's pretty tricky there. Sometimes if you have tricky numbers, the easiest thing to do is if they're both even, let's halve them, let's make them smaller. So dividing by 2, this would give me 35, and half of 98 is going to be 49. All right, that 49 was our factor of 7, and our factor of 7, this is very similar to one in my earlier examples. So let's divide by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5, and 49 divided by 7 is 7. Question 3, consider the rectangle. What fraction is shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are coloured in out of, we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 8 out of 12. Write the shaded fraction in simplest form. So let's simplify this. We can divide by 4. 8 divided by 4 goes twice, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that's my simplified fraction. Question 4, a train carriage seats 80 people. That's the total. What fraction of the seats are occupied if there are 64 passengers? I guess we're assuming they all have to be sitting on a seat. So this was my total, 80. The train holds 80 people. And there are 64 passengers. So that means that 64 seats have been used, or have someone sitting in them. So let's simplify that. Both of those numbers can be divided by 8. Okay, you might find another number. Yes, there is actually bigger numbers you can find. Let's go with 8 for now. So 64 divided by 8 is 8, and 80 divided by 8 is 10. Then I can still simplify this further. I could divide that by 2, top and bottom. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 4/5 of the train carriage is occupied. You may have, as I said, you might have simplified that with some other numbers, as long as you're getting to this same answer, simplified answer at the end. Okay, that's all for our lesson today. Keep practicing and join me again next time. Bye for now.